Well, hello everybody to the random game of the day. My name is Jeremy. Let's take a look at what we have here. It's a low ELO matchup. We'll start over on the east side as we have got LukSensei and ShadowZ. ShadowZ over here in lane 3, starting off with the gate guard. It's the single bounty hunter being started off in lane 4 by ShadowZ. We're going to call them Shadows. Heading over to lane 1, that is the Grawl start from Zytoxx. In lane 2, it's Eltado, and he started off with the Sand Badger. 3 of the 4 players did send on wave 1. They all sent King upgrades, so we shouldn't be seeing a brute send on wave 3. LukSensei, the only one up to 5 workers. We'll have to keep an eye out for him and make sure that he's covering his wave. Again, we take a look at the west side. Zytoxx with this Grawl. Let's see whether or not he decides to sell that off and build into Tower 6 units. And those are the Fire Lord and the Lord of Darkness, or Lord of Death, but unfortunately he does not do that, or at least he hasn't done that yet, so he's holding off on doing that, and that is because he was up to 4 workers, probably didn't have enough money to be able to sell that off and do that. LukSensei now receiving on lane 3, the only send, and that is a little bit of King upgrade. And it looks like he did not build enough in regards to just making sure that he was going to carry this wave. So we will see a leak over on lane 3 as LukSensei leaking 42%. But doesn't look like it'll be a problem to be carried here, as the bounty hunter is going to rack up a bit of extra mana off of these bonus kills. But money heading the other way, as 12 gold heads over to the West team. There's the sell, and it's what T6 unit is he going to go with? Hope he goes with something. There it is. It is the Lord of Death, so you are going to see the dragon spawning. Now, the Lord of Death, not the tankiest of units, but it does get this benefit of having this dragon in front of it that does gain 200 hit points every single time it gets a kill, so you'll see it pop up and down. This is all based on targeting in these early sets. Here comes another dragon. Shouldn't be a problem to carry all of the waves. Let's take a look over at the east side as you see the double... the double bounty hunter is able to hold on, and they are just racking up the mana, so hopefully being able to upgrade to the kingpins later on. We do have a big save of Mythium here from LukSensei. LukSensei again will be sending over to lane number 2, and right now lane 2 is set up pretty well in regards to its defense. Some good DPS units behind a good solid tank unit. A couple snail sends over onto wave or to line 4, and I don't know what he's doing. You don't want to send snails into these bounty hunters. It gives them an opportunity to get 2 extra mana, so they'll be able to charge up to those maximum kingpins earlier. And definitely do not send snails into these bounty hunters. That is definitely not a good strategy for you. But again, these players are still new to the game based on their ELO rating. And another small leak here from LukSensei. And I wonder whether or not there's some communication between the two of them in regard to just allowing a little bit of leaking so that LukSensei can charge up, but he's not really charging up that much on his worker count. But if you can let a little bit of leaks into these bounty hunters, they do charge up a lot quicker. Up to 140 Mythium on here for LukSensei, as he's yet to send over on to Eltado. And I'm wondering just when that big send is going to happen. And ShadowZ again receiving 2 snails. I just don't know the thought process behind that. Perhaps not knowing that these bounty hunters get extra mana every time that they kill a unit. And by giving them basically 2 free units in regard to those snails, you're just feeding into that strategy. And they're already up to half mana. Now this ability they have is the Commercial Fisherman. They gain 1 mana every time an enemy nearby them dies, and then when they upgrade to their final form, which is the Kingpin, that's when you're going to see that mana carry over, and each point of mana does more damage. So that is why, again, you're going to see the Kingpins try and level up. They also stop gaining mana at that point. ShadowZ is going to be sending off 2 brutes over to Zytoxx. Still no send from LukSensei. He's up to 180 Mythium. And is that 2 more snails going towards lane number 4? I don't know what he's thinking. Let's head over and see what these brutes can do against these Lords of Death. If they've already broken through the Dragon Wave, the Lords of Death not very high on their mana, so don't think a dragon's going to come out in a 76% leak, as 2 brutes doing the damage here against Zytoxx. LukSensei still no send. I'm surprised that he did not send on that wave. He could have perhaps used all that Mythium to send 3 brutes, because he did have 180. Then they could have got this double leak, could have made a bunch of money here, but as it stands, this is probably going to be a hold from Eltado. Eltado still sending snails at ShadowZ. And these atoms just doing a bunch of damage now. They are doing increased attack speed by 150%. Because they're getting 25% each one of these stacks. So when they get to sit there for a long time, their attack speed just goes through the roof, as does their DPS. I don't know what LukSensei is saving for. Does he even know that he's allowed to send? Taking a look over on to Shadow's side. And again, still no send coming from LukSensei. He's up to 240. What wave is it going to be? As you see, Eltado's recommended army value is at 800. So he's quite high up there, and hopefully able to hold off whatever it is that LukSensei is going to send, if he ever is going to send. And we are going to see a minor leak over here on lane 3 as LukSensei goes down. And perhaps you would have more army to build if you could use all this Mythium and get your income up higher. What are you doing? Over here on the Earth King side, or the west side, we do have a small leak here, as again, a brute was enough of a send to be able to get through those Lords of Death. The Lords of Death are great when they are behind some good meat shield, but they are not so good when they are the meat shield. And now you're seeing this pressure. We will have our first King damage, as the Sky King is going to be eating a little bit of damage here. Let's take a look at the advantage that's going to be gained in regards to just the amount of money based on leaks. And right now, pretty close to even, but at the time, the West team had the big advantage, and now it's the East team, that made up some ground. LukSensei up to 300 Mythium early on in this game, on to wave 8. Here comes the big send. Let's see what happens on Eltado's side, as it was an ogre and a cannoneer early on. This will be telling for this game and whether that saving was worth it. Needs to be a big result here. Needs to be a big leak here. If this ogre goes down, that's a lot of money being gained. 50 gold that gets gained for Eltado. And although there was a big leak there, 98%, LukSensei in itself leaked 76%. So he's letting things through. Now, can this Lord of Death and these dragons hold off here? They're going to have to. This Lord of Death is going to have to survive to be able to stop all that came through on Eltado's side, and he is going to survive, so maybe be able to spawn a quick dragon here, and there you see it now, 2 dragons being able to get to work. I don't think that this is going to be able to hold, but it is going to be able to slow down. It does take out 2 units. And 8 units come through on the Earth King side. Now the Earth King is taking damage. As you take a look, the advantage right now for the team on the east side, that's LukSensei and ShadowZ, have a 32 income difference in regard to the sends that have been sent. But when it comes to income, LukSensei just a little bit lower because his work count is so low. His income higher now, but he sat for round after round without putting any sort of send. He could have charged up the king and made that back by just putting that extra income in. But interesting to see whether or not that will hold off, as now LukSensei receiving a good amount of units. Remember, he was already having trouble holding his wave. These carapaces do take reduced damage from ranged units, so they're going to try and DPS down. And the Cerberus does come through, so a little extra time for these ranged units to do work. It looks like LukSensei might be able to hold on in this wave. The Zeus doing its job as one of the fastest attackers in the game. One of the best pure DPS units in the game as well. And easy hold from the Zeus as it takes out those 2 lizards. And LukSensei going to get a little bit of a boost from that, able to stop the 100 Mythium worth of sends that were put to him. But in regard to recommended army value, he is currently 200 behind everybody else. And now you see the mass amounts of king upgrades coming from Zytoxx's side. Zytoxx getting the biggest send here on wave 10, as this Granddaddy is being supported by the Hermit and the 2 lizards. And the Granddaddy makes easy work of the Lord of Death, and that's going to be a big leak of 80%. There's a clear on the partner side, but I don't think this is going to be enough to stop this Granddaddy from coming through. We do have a leak from LukSensei as well, 28%. Let's take a look over at their side, and it should be an easy hold here with the Kingpin. And you see the Kingpin soaking up that damage. Granddaddy getting to work, taking out these Sky Queens, now taking out this Harpy, and we will get some King damage on the Earth King. Just a little bit of damage, but the difference is the income that's gained off. And we take a look at our selections, and we have Titan being selected by ShadowZ. LukSensei also selecting Titan, so they're going to power up one of their units. And you see that the Harbinger has been powered up with Titan, so he gets some extra hit points. On the other side, we have Magician being selected. And you see this magic aura And plus 22 mana regeneration and mana gain is going to be wonderful for the Hades and for the Lord of Death. So they're going to be able to pump out units a lot faster. Let's watch how fast these dragons and imps get pumped out here on this magician side. Let's see how quickly this mana goes up. Yeah, just skyrocketing up. And this is what you want as a combo spell as your king spell after wave 10. For any build that is dependent on Hades and Lord of Death, then it's an easy clear across the board. Right now, no big Mythium saves. Big income advantage for Zytoxx and Eltado, so if they can keep that up by keeping the worker count a little bit higher than the east side team, they are going to have that advantage. Right now, Zytoxx is kind of starving his opponent, not really sending many sends. And the reason that you do that is you're reducing the amount of income that they can make because he's already on a lower income as he only has 9 workers. Zytoxx receiving the biggest send, 240, including a pack leader, which increases the attack power of all the associated units. And again, these Hades and these Lord of Deaths are fantastic when they are back units and support units, but they are really horrible tanks, as you just see these tier 6 units melting under the pressure that's being put on from these mantises, and that's not the biggest leak. However, compared to his army value, he should have been able to hold on to that without a problem, and I think he just needs to get himself a tank unit. He does have a Grawl here, so perhaps sending up a Grawl that you can upgrade to be able to take some of the pressure off of those Lords of Death, or even using the Fire Lord upgraded to a Phoenix. A Phoenix is a wonderful tank as well. But sticking with the strategy is Zytoxx. So this is what we talk about with a tank line. These Iron Scales and Sand Badgers are going to be taking just over 9,000 damage. And that allows these DPS units behind to do work. Right now, there is no tank line for this lane 1, which is why, although it's a powerful army, it is not as effective just because it cannot keep these units from doing damage. And watch how quickly these drill golems are going to make it back into that line, and they're going to start demolishing these Lords of Death. This is not a very good build without a tank line. The idea is sound, but the build is in trouble, if only because, again, there is no way to keep the DPS off of those big damage units. They just are very, very fragile. Another small leak from LukSensei. We've got our MPS, which is a buff unit. Let's take a look at that buff. It's got a Mythium core, and it grants adjacently built allies plus 18% attack speed. So you normally see a bunch of units around the MPS. He's the popular kid at school. Everybody wants to be around him. And you take a look here. He's got a lot of people around him here, including this Kingpin. This is a fully upgraded version of the Angler that we saw early on and the Bounty Hunter. But look at the mana that they put into it. 146 mana. That means every time it's swinging away for 492 damage, which is just a ton. So that's the benefit of those fully upgraded Kingpins. So take a look at a Golem. A Golem is an upgraded Mudman, and this Golem does have a lot of hit points to be able to tank up. ShadowZ receiving the most sends, highlighted by a Dino, 180 Mythium worth of send. But look at these bounty hunters, the upgraded bounty hunters, make them the Kingpins, just doing work, destroying everything in their path. And an easy hold for lane 4. That's ShadowZ. And another leak by LukSensei, just leaking a little bit every single turn. And the problem is that is just gaining gold for the other team. Look at this creeping up now. You hold an advantage on the east side, but you just gave away a bunch of income to leaks. As we take a look, 315 lost to leaks by LukSensei, only 15 by ShadowZ, 79 and 238 respectively for Eltado and Zytoxx. That was a massive amount of atom upgrades. These atoms gain mana at twice the speed of the protons, which is their lower scale unit. And again, every single time that they have an additional 10% current mana, they're going to gain a 25% attack speed. So let's watch, and we'll highlight this atom right here. And we're going to take a look at that crawling up. And as soon as that gets to 6, you're going to see a stack come up here. And there's your stack. So that increased the attack speed of that unit by 25%. And each time it does it, an additional 25%. Looks like the giant quadrupus is going to go down in lane 4, but it's going to make it through. And another leak on lane number 3 as LukSensei, again, leaking through a bunch of units. And that's more money that's going to head over to the west side, because I don't think that this APS is going to be able to hold off the giant quadrupus, who is going to tank all of this damage. And here's some damage to the Sky King. And income the other way. So now they are losing that income battle by a full 2 workers. And if you see the worker count on the west side, as Zytoxx and Eltado are up to 26 and 24 workers. So that is skyrocketing their income every single turn. And the charts will show off as that happens that it's just an exponential growth that comes from having all these extra workers, especially if you're able to hold your lane. Now that these Hades are spitting out the imps as opposed to the dragons, the imps are a very good tank unit, so they're able to hold off. There was a concern earlier on that I mentioned that there just wasn't enough as a tank setup, but now you see these imps come through and they have some decent hit points. But now you see a danger here in this, as the Cardinals have made their way into the back line, and this is not a good sight for lane at number 1, Zytoxx, because they got into that back lane quickly. That's why you see 107% of leak. LukSensei leaking 100%. Now wonder on lane 2 whether they can hold on, and they cannot. So a combination here of over 160% leak on the west side, and we're going to watch this king lose a lot of health in a very short order. Because it's a fully upgraded king, I don't think it's going to be enough to lose the game, but look at how quickly it went down to 31%. We head over to the east side, pardon. They're down to 36% and currently behind 1,500 in gold income. So 1,500 lost in regard to just how much they're doing, increased with their sends. 36 workers right now for Zytoxx. And now you see the tank line being put in with these Growls. He doesn't have enough to be able to upgrade them, but it is enough time to allow these Hades to be able to spit out 2 sets of units. They do have the increased mana gain, as well as they do have life gain from the Butcher's ability. That is the Leech ability. Huge sends over on lane 3 and lane 4 as 340, 300 Mythium being sent respectively. And we'll see. This could be the push that the West team was looking for. But look at the hold here by lane 4 as the Kingpin just soaking up all that damage, getting last hits. And looks like lane 4 is going to be able to hold. The fact that LukSensei leaked 94%, not that big of a deal when you have so many units holding. As ShadowZ is doing work here. His army value up at 4675, which is right a bit above recommended value for this wave. And you see the pressure being put on Eltado's wave. And it looks like those Sky Queens are going to hold on, but they are going to melt under these Metal Dragons quite quickly. So we will see some more King damage being done to the Earth King. I don't think it's enough to end the match, however, as we head over and see how many units were being able to held off by ShadowZ. It's not going to be enough there as you see more pressure coming down. The Kings are getting low. Oh, we're coming down to it. You see the Sens are starting to fly here from both teams. The advantage, if it comes to a Send War, has got to go to the West team because they do have the most amount of income with 46 and 32 workers, which is more than even the highest on the East side as 30 and 18 workers. And just look at that income. So they're going to be able to keep up. They've got to keep their army values high. The King down to 14%. And he's not going to be raising himself up all that quickly. And now you see the double send of the mimics that are coming through. Let's take a look over at the east side and watch as we get these full value mercenaries. 520 coming in on LukSensei's lane. 360 coming through on ShadowZ's lane. Look at the pressure. Look at the damage being done. Look how quickly that upgraded banana bomb, the Banana Haven, just melted underneath the pressure on lane number 3. And it's going to be a massive 116% leak. Let's see if lane 4 can hold. He did receive 360 in damage. Looks like he's going to hold, but is it going to be enough to be able to hold off the 13 units that are going to be coming at him? We do see a leak from Zytoxx as he leaks down, and this might be a race down, especially if there can be a hold. It's a race to see who gets to the King first. I believe there's lethal King damage on both sides. And the Earth King taking damage. Is it going to be enough to hold on? He's got it down to 1 unit. He will hold on to 11%. Heading over, there's 5 units going away. Getting down to the nitty gritty here. 12% health. 8% health. And holding on is the Sky King and the East team with 7% health left. This is wave 19. It's the Dire Toads. They're a Pierce unit. And again, we've got a lot of Fortified. Fortified is strong against Pierce with only doing 80% damage. There you see those Gate Guards and the Fortified health. Fortified health for the Banana Haven as well. You are seeing a 4 send of these Drakes coming from Zytoxx. And you just got to wonder which is going to be the team that leaks through. $600 all-in Drakes being sent over on lane 3. This could be the key lane. If this leaks with more than 60%, that's going to be a danger. And again, these Lords of Death and Hades just melting under the pressure from the Drakes. And you see a leak of on 115%. We did have a clear on lane 4. And is lane 4 going to be able to hold off the pressure from these Dire Toads? They do have some fully charged up mages here, as the Hades is going to be able to pump out an imp right away. We do have the MPS that is completely and entirely full. Zytoxx leaking over on lane 1. That's going to be easily held by what's already there. So we put our attention back over to the east side. And can there be a hold here on wave 19? It doesn't look like it's a problem. It's going to be a hold there, but damage is done as we have a full 4,000 gold advantage for the team on the west side. That is Zytoxx and Eltado. Look at that setup build. Being able to hold on. The Atom is charging up. He's got that magic aura increasing the speed of 22% on the mana regen. This wave coming through is a magic wave. They've got a lot of arcane defense. Does Eltado. Zytoxx, not as much arcane defense, but you can see the Phoenix here is quite a big damage unit. It's going to be another send. And another big send going over on lane 3 and lane 4 as we take a look at those numbers. You see the numbers of total units on this side. And look at this Maccabeus. It is just pumping away, trying to kill off all these units. And again, if you see a significant leak on the left side, that is going to be the problem. But look at this defensive setup by ShadowZ. Can he hold on? This will really help if we can start getting these dragons to pop. And there's a bunch of dragons that are going to take a lot of the DPS. You see a 111% leak from LukSensei. This has got to be a big hold here. The question is it enough? It's 6 units that are coming through. This Magabus at half health. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Let's take a look over on the other side. Easy going to be holding with the amount that's there. Can this Maccabeus push through? And it looks like he is getting into the damage line, and that might be good game. As again, you see the amount of health that this Maccabeus has. And that's going to be the end. It was the income advantage from Zytoxx and Eltado that made the big difference. As you see their final working count, both at 54, only 32 and 40 on the east side, which is, again, you see the income difference, almost 4,000 by the end of the game. This has been your random day of the game. If you want to be on the random day of the game, you got to do a couple things. First off, you got to like and subscribe to this video. Second, you're going to put your name down in the comment section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of all those names. And as I look for those names, I'm going to see if I can find you. I'm going to put you into the random game of the day. If you are not playing Legion TD, what is wrong with you? Get on. Get yourself Legion TD2. It is on Steam. It's going to be featured here in just a couple days. There's tournaments every single weekend. It's the fastest growing tower defense game in the world. This game is taking off. Get in early. You want to be a part of it here. This has been the random game of the day. My name is Jeremy. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.